I am Representative Mitch Bolinsky. I represent the 106th District, which is Newtown. So the home team for me is actually the second company, Governor's Horse Guard. This bill is going to lead to the demise of the organized militia in the state of Connecticut. However, the compromise that we search for has not yet been struck, and I do believe that there is one. So rather than objecting to this bill, what I'd like to do is just speak from experience with this unit, and also from the experience as a community member. But the second company, Governor's Horse Guard, is one of 4 units. The 44 complaints, the actions that have been taken that are a detriment to the state of Connecticut and to the military department, to the best of my knowledge, they have not come from the second company horse, and they are the result of what probably could be described as a lack of supervision at other units. So we're looking at a situation here where, in my opinion, I would call this throwing out the baby with the bathwater. There are other interim steps that can assure the continued operation of particularly my unit, which is the second horse, which has been operating continuously, since the year 1808. So there's 217 years of history there. But history, as our generals have noted, is not enough, because there is a specific mission that is charged to the Connecticut Military Department, and that very clearly is understood as being readiness and public safety on a national scale. I can certainly understand the concerns about the amount of time it's taking to administer to these units, particularly under the circumstances where they are relatively unsupervised. There are several compromises, but let me begin by saying that the amount of time that it took for this administrative proposal to come through the system, which meant that the unit had a very short amount of time, and actually from today's date, 5 months to figure out how to operate without the administrative support of the Connecticut Military Department. As a person who spent 30 years as a business executive and in business acquisition and things like that, I can tell you that we don't have the building blocks in Newtown, because we are in the process and have been in the process for quite some time, going back to 2021 and 2016, I might add. We have been in the process of trying to develop a business plan that does allow a little bit more autonomy, but doesn't include the liability of having to take care of the state-owned property and that historic barn that used to be part of the Fairfield Hills State Hospital. Without those burdens, best practices are the way to go. And with best practice, the second company, Governor's Horse Guard, is, in my opinion, and in many ways, the Connecticut military's absolute most wonderful public ambassador. We attend dozens and dozens of parades and events, and through the 501c3 now, the Friends of the Second Company Governor's Horse Guard, we have nonprofits that operate equine therapy and other types of therapeutic activity that goes on in our town. So it's significant, because after the tragedy in Newtown in 2012, one of the responders to that was our second company, Governor's Horse Guard, and its enrolled or enlisted officers, which were our horses. So it is a community asset. It does contribute to the well-being of Newtown. It is also a destination tourist site in Newtown. Now, under the Connecticut Military Department, Representative, I will tell you that marketing is not something that the military department does well. So, as part of my compromise, I believe that we should consider all options to have the state retain the property and have the unit operate on that and provide for its own operational expenses. Now, whether that happens under an arrangement that is called privatization or whether it is through the entertainment of proposals for operating such a unit administratively, I can't tell you. This is an untapped asset waiting for Connecticut, with all of our ambitions to be a tourist destination, to have just one other thing. It takes my breath away still to this day, as you say, when I see that horse guard and I march with them in parades. It's amazing. But I'll also tell you that when my wife and I were the caregivers to our parents, being able to go to the horse guard with a relative that had dementia and be welcomed by the kind people that are sitting here to my left, your right, and spend some time with, say, my father-in-law speaking with Chester, who is no longer with us, but was the commandant, the major's mount, was something that was important to my family, and related very closely to something that I don't ordinarily like to invoke, which again is that 2012 tragedy. Newtown's Horse Guard is terribly important to Newtown, but it can be the catalyst that creates something truly great around the history of Connecticut. And for those of you that have not read my testimony, on the second page, yes, it's 2 pages, but on the second page is nothing more than a list of the events, the charitable events, the therapeutic events, and the ceremonial events that our Guard represents the state of Connecticut Military Department at. It's a diamond, and it's not all that rough. It just needs a little bit of standardization and attention and a little bit of love, and I would hate to see us blow that.
I'm going to start with a question. First, I want to make a commitment as chair from one legislator to another. We'll include you in our conversations as we move forward. I know Rep. Anderson will be a strong advocate for your caucus in our conversations moving forward, but we will be really happy to include you in conversations that we have after this public hearing. So that's my commitment to you.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you coming for your testimony. And I want to just share a personal sentiment. I live in an agricultural and rural community and actually have a nonprofit in one of my towns that administers therapeutic horseback riding license. And they are a nonprofit, 501c3, fully funded through grants and fundraising efforts on property that they own, horses that are owned on site. And they, you know, I think as many nonprofits do, struggle at times in their fundraising efforts. But I will tell you, just like you're seeing a huge value add to our community and the people that they do service to, but certainly viable, certainly meritorious as a nonprofit. So thank you so much for your time.